Hello and welcome to Hexed Countered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a first look at a game that's not particularly new, but I'm going to be doing it to basically honor both the 80th anniversary of Operation Market Garden and also the designer of the game who recently passed away. That would be Dean Essig, who was the man behind the Gamers. This game, of course, it was a Gamers game. It is published by Multi-Man Publishing now, as all of the Gamers games are. There's a lot of game in that sentence. Anyway, this is kind of a classic. It is a standard combat series game, as you can see right here, and it covers the aforementioned Operation Market Garden. So we're going to take a quick first look at it, and that'll set up the playthrough that'll come later this month. So if we flip it over here, we have the back of the box. Imagine that. Anyway, It Never Snows is a standard combat series game covering the pivotal Market Garden offensive in September 1944. Using a system based on the well-received SCS game Bastogne, It Never Snows covers the landings and ground offensive, endeavoring to link up with them at 600 meters per hex with units generally companies. Each turn's half a day, making for a 17-turn campaign game that is uniquely playable among Market Garden games. So it's got a gigantic map, 5 map areas it says here, and that this is a truly enormous game because it covers a lot of area. So just looking at the components, you get your, of course, SCS rulebook, your It Never Snows game-specific rulebook, 5 full-color 22 by 34 game maps, hence the comment about how enormous it is. 3 full-color 11 by 17 play aids for airdrop planning, German setup, and reinforcements. 2 charts and tables booklets. 840 counters. Yes, 840. That's a lot. For an SCS game, that's on the high side. And then box and dice. And this was copyright 2012. So like I said, it's been around a while, but it does show complexity of medium, because SCS is a fairly straightforward system, and solitaire suitability also medium. So let's take a look inside the box. I did pick this up at a local store. It was, in my opinion, a bargain. I won't tell you how much I paid, but it certainly wasn't what it would be if I bought it somewhere else. So you've got your German setup here with an order of arrival, and then you have turn 2 arrivals on there. We have a little note here. This is from Multi-Man Publishing, and this is kind of standard within their games. You see that fairly often. We have the German order of arrival continued. So you can see at the top here, we've got turn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 14. That would, of course, go along with the one we've already seen right there underneath. Then on this side, we have the airdrop and glider points for the allies. So you have turn 1, a bunch of airdrops and some gliders. Turn 2, less. Turn 4 and after, okay, you roll a die, and this is what you get. So 1 to 3 will give you a couple. 4 will give you 3 of each. 5 and 6 will give you a good amount. Then we have our allied organizational charts. So here we have the Guards Armored Division. So these would be some of these will be units that will be moving up to link up with the airborne, and some of it, obviously, as you can read, is airborne units. So you've got the Guards Armored Division, the 43 Infantry Division, other Commonwealth and Allied units. Then we've got our 1st Airborne Division here. This would be the British Airborne Forces. Then we have the Americans here with the 82nd Airborne Division and the 101st Airborne Division. You've got their little insignia there at the bottom. Let's give props to the airborne forces here. All right, here is our standard combat series It Never Snows game-specific rulebook. So we'll put that aside for a second. Now here are the series rules. Now this is 1.7. They're currently up to 1.8. So I will actually use 1.8 when I play. But this is the rules are always backwards compatible. So you can have the latest rules and play one of the earliest games in the series, and things will generally work pretty well. So the rule book here, as you can see, is not long. It clocks in at a whole 8 pages. Now, I've done other SCS game videos, so you may or may not be familiar with some of those or have played standard combat series games, whatever it may be. I'm going to assume you don't know much, but that's probably not the case for many of you. So anyway, our series designer was Dean Essig. And then you have the revision for 1.5 was done by Dave Demko, version 1.6, Dean Essig. Got our playtester list here. The introduction, again, this is generic because it covers the entire series. So standard combat series games enable both experienced and beginning players to enjoy simple to play and quick to learn games. These games attempt to bring out common wargame themes, terms, and techniques. So this is a good, relatively low, I wouldn't say low, it is medium level wargaming system. And there's a ton of topics covered, and it's a great series. And if you've never played it, I highly recommend it. How to learn the rules, right? So then you go through your components, the map, and how the map numbering works, the rules, setup numbers, setup notes rather, cumulative effects. Then inside here, we talk about the standard rounding rule. Dean, in his design notes for one of the games, I don't remember which one, talked about how he was continually frustrated by rule lawyers who would scrounge every single strength point they could find on the map to get that extra little bit, or they would tell somebody, oh, it's you're at 14 to 5, so you're only 2 to 1, not 3 to 1, and stuff like that. And if you've played war games, you are definitely familiar with that particular strategy that some people like to employ. And it is what it is. So he does some rounding based on basic math. If it's 0.01 to 0.49, you round it down. If it's 0.5 to 99, you round it up. Fog of war, except when calculating odds for an attack he's committed to make, a player cannot examine the units comprising an enemy stack. So you can only see the top, basically, the top unit or the marker, and a player cannot cancel an attack after announcing it. Obviously, that's for a 2-player game. If you're playing solitaire, you can't hide it from yourself. Here's our sequence of play. So first player turn, movement, combat, exploitation, supply. Really straightforward. Things that you would expect to find in virtually every war game almost at this level, right? Which is more of an operational level. Then you have the narrative sequence of play, movement, combat, exploitation, which is just exploitation capable units for the phasing player. That's the player whose turn it is. They can move and overrun. Then supply. And of course, zones of control are very important. You've got your normal zones of control, which is pretty standard. Each of the 6 hexes that surround the unit's hex are within its zone of control. Then it talks about movement in zone of control, tracing supply, because you could have to go through an enemy zone of control or an EZOC. It goes through in here. Then you've got your movement. How do you move your units? The terrain effects of movement on movement. Your stacking rules. Your reinforcing rules. Your overrun combat. Restrictions on overrun. Combat rules. Results. Terrain effects. Step losses. Retreats and some examples of combat, 3 of them. Then you've got your retreat path, no retreat option, advance after combat, exploitation, supply, and that's it. And his notes on the back. Maybe this was 11 to 6. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's only a 1-to-1 attack. That's the thing I was just talking about. Apparently, it's in the standard rules. Then we have our It Never Snows rules, which are much longer, 20 pages, but they do include a lot of scenario-related stuff. In fact, the scenario-related stuff starts on page 6. So you've got basically 5 and a little bit of game-specific rules, and it just basically modifies what we saw in the main rule book. So you're going to have things about the turn sequence, which will have to include airdrops because this is about market guarding, which did include a big airborne component. So you have your airdrop stuff, and then that kind of sits on top of your basic movement, combat, exploitation, supply phases. And then the Germans have theirs. Your scale tells you the scale of each turn is a half a day. Each hex is 600 meters. Ground units represent platoons and companies. Some artillery units are shown as battalions. Then you have terrain, multiple terrain types. You have some railroads that are not considered to be roads. Your counter colors, because you have multiple units from multiple nationalities. On the German side, it's all German, but they have various branches of service. And then you have your stacking rules here, because we have bridges that are important to this. That was the whole point of the operation, was to capture some bridges over the Rhine. Special unit rules, the rules for disorganized unit, or DG. You'll see a lot of DG counters in the Standard Combat Series and some of the other gamers series as well. Supply, how do you trace supply? The effects of being out of supply. Then you have specific rules for the Germans, for the Allied airborne units, who are of course behind enemy lines, and then for the 30th Corps, which is the ground forces that are moving up to try to link up with the aforementioned airborne units. Artillery ammo, ranged weapons, barrage, airstrikes, road march, full hex bridges and enclosed hexes. So there's a lot of terrain related stuff. Ferries, engineers, light bridges, overruns, and then special rules for your airdrops. That covers a lot. The 30th Corps boundary, your CW armor, which is Commonwealth armor assigned to the United States Airborne Divisions, 43rd Commonwealth Infantry Divisions, Ws. Those were the amphibious vehicles, amphibious tank kind of things, off-map artillery. German rules for 75 and 88 millimeter guns, bridge blowing, reinforcement entry, and our victory conditions. And then all of the scenarios. So you have the market garden campaign, you have the historical drop zones campaign, foothold campaign, September 20th high water mark campaign. There's a bunch of them. Oh, that's a long one. The Hexenkessel, which is the Witch's Cauldron, that's German. And then we have Hold Until Relieved, Hail Mary, Full of Grace, Hell's Highway, and that is it. And then all your abbreviations, some tables back here, German artillery table, Allied airdrop and glider points, airdrop scatter roll, airdrop losses, and then the CRT on the back, terrain effects, artillery, DG roll, and the kill roll. A lot of stuff. Now we look at our counter sheets. There are 800 some counters in here, I believe. That's what it said anyway. It doesn't look like it. Anyway, so here are the some of the counters. So this would be first airborne. Then we have this would be the 82nd, and this is the 101st, I think. You've got various things here for marking things, ammo drops, bridge blowing stuff. So you've got your Arnhem here, etc. There's Nijmegen, etc. And then here are our DG markers. These are all double-sided, most of them at least. Bridges are blown, which of course is not what we do not want to happen as the Allies if you're playing as the Allies. Then we have more unit counters. Here we have some Germans. Then we have parts of the 30th Corps on this side. We've got some out of supply markers, the DGs, a turn marker, some air stuff here. Then our third counter sheet, which has more units on it, mostly German, it looks like, if not all German. Then we have map sheets. Is that all the counters? It might be all the counters. There are a lot of maps in here, though, I can tell you that. So we got 2 D6 and a whole bunch of map sheets. Now, as far as the map sheets go, what I may do is I may just find like a screenshot of these, because I literally do not have enough table space to put all these out together. I'm probably going to play this game on Vassal, just so you know. But I did want to go through the components, and I will show the map, as I said. We'll take a look at the map probably via a graphic, just so you can see what it looks like. But that is going to do it for this part of the video. I will finish it with the look at the map here in a moment, but we won't be returning to the box. So enjoy the box in all its glory with 3 airborne units at insignia there at the top, 2 Americans and the British. Okay, so here we have the map, and we're at the top, the north. So this is multiple maps. You can see here we got map A in this area right here, map B in this area over here. Let's zoom in a little bit. So here we have Arnhem. Now you can see we have an incomplete bridge right here. This bridge right here is the main bridge, and that is, as you can see by this counter here, it is wired for demolition by the Germans. The same is true down here of the railroad bridge. Now if we zoom back out and we go down to Nijmegen, we have the same kind of situation, right? So here you can see we've got a bridge here wired for demolition. Same here. So railroad bridge, road bridge, both wired for demolition. You can see some of these other bridges that are also wired up. Right, so that is the northern part of the map. As you can see, the map is pretty extensive here. We run into Germany, right? So you've got obviously the main event here in Arnhem and Nijmegen. You can see all of the canal, basically the terrain that's kind of marshy, I guess. I forget what it's called specifically in the game. But, and you have the roads, of course. The road network was, of course, important. So if we zoom back out, and we actually have Germany over here, as you can see as well. You can go far down, right? So here is our artillery ammunition record track on the side here, as well as the turn record track. Now I've rotated the map so that we can see it north to south, because that was kind of the way the operation ran. So you can zoom in here and see, you know, there are a lot of bridges and they're all wired for demolition. And then you have some hexes that are impassable for armor as well. And so you can see some bridges that actually are not wired up. And here's Eindhoven, of course. And this is kind of the tail, the bottom of the map. This is map E. So you have map E, and then up further, we have map C, and on this side, map D, I believe. And where is it? Yeah, map D. So the entirety of the map, if we zoom way out, you can see this is a very large map. That's actually as far as it will let me zoom out. But it is a large map, 5 map sheets, A, B, C, D, and E. And it's pretty standard for an MMP. The Gamers map for the SCS series, they all kind of look the same. They have a very standardized look. So nothing, you know, nothing fancy, but everything is plain. It's plain. I mean, not plain in terms of, you know, boring, but plain in its appearance, so that it is clear what it is. You know, the woods are clearly defined. You've got your urban terrain clearly defined. Your water, your bridges, all of this clearly defined. So just a really well done map, and some of the German forces are already set up on this map. This is from Vassal. So that's why it, and this is just, I did this because it's so much easier to actually show the whole map as opposed to putting 5 22 by 34 map sheets out. I literally do not have the table space. I would have to use the floor. And rather than do that, I thought it would be a little bit easier and much more interactive if I could zoom in on things and scroll around as I've been doing here with this map. So there you have it. That is our first look at the game It Never Snows from the Gamers, covering Operation Market Garden of September 1944. And look forward to some playthrough videos coming up on this game, and probably some other ones.
as we kind of celebrate or remember the 80th anniversary of Operation Market Garden. So, as always, thank you for watching. Have any comments, questions, etc., feel free to post them up, and I will do my best to reply as soon as I can. Otherwise, if you would consider liking, sharing, subscribing, etc., like I always ask, that is, as I always say, greatly appreciated. I do appreciate the support from you guys. But that is the end of this one. So, until next time, I am Joe. This is the Hexed Countered Channel, and as always, happy gaming.